House come to order. Members, our prayer today will be given by Joe Bailey. He is the pastor of Danville Baptist Church and represents Alcott.
Let's pray. Father, we pause this morning before all of these people start conducting business of the state, and we want to acknowledge several things. We want to acknowledge your sovereignty, that you're in control of every situation, that our human frailties limit us, even when we think we are, that we know you are ultimately in control. We want to say today, we want to praise you for who you are, for your goodness and your mercy and your grace. And for just this moment and what it is, we thank you for the freedoms of this country. We thank you for our military and all the past and the current military that are doing the jobs they're doing so that we can do what we do in America. We also thank you for this state and the past and the present. We're here today to conduct business, or they are, and so we want to lift all of these people up that are conducting business in your state, Father. And we know it is the state of Alabama, but again, you're sovereign over every piece of land in this world. And so we pray for these people, men and women alike, that you would just give them wisdom, Father, as they conduct business, and help them to understand that it is not their business. It's not even the business of their constituents or their district. It is your business. And so we pray for wisdom. We pray that you would just help them to understand that everything is in your hands. And then we pray, as I know they have disagreements, we pray that they understand that your word teaches us that love covers a multitude of sins, that they conduct themselves in love this morning and in everything they do. We know ultimately they all want the same thing. They want safety, and they want peace, and they want their families to be taken care of. And we know they have different ideas at times of how to go about that. But we just pray for civility in this room and across even in the Senate room, Father. And then lastly, Father, I want to just thank you for who you are, for putting us here. We thank you for the state of Alabama. And compared to other states in the unions, we have been blessed in so many ways with leadership and with the laws that govern us. And that is a direct hand of you, Father. I want to lift up all of these people, Father, and their families. I know there's some that are hurting. I know there are some that have sick spouses. I know there are some that have children that are wayward. I know there's some that have people in their family that are battling cancer, and they're human just like all of us. So I pray for them right now that you'd give them peace that passes all understanding. And if there's one person in this room, Father, that doesn't know Jesus as Lord and Savior, I pray that they would commit their lives to you, Lord Jesus. And today might even be an opening that the scales would just fall off and they would see their need for Jesus. Because one day we're all going to stand before a holy God, and every knee's going to bow and every tongue's going to confess that Jesus is Lord. And my prayer for this room is that they all know Jesus is Lord. And I pray a blessing on today, Father. And we ask all these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Members, today's Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Lauren Asbell, who is a fifth grader at Alabama Christian Academy. She is the daughter of David and Michelle Asbell.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk call roll.
Mr. Speaker, Almond, Baker, Bedsole, Blackshear, Bolton, Boyd, Bracy, Brinyark, Brown, Butler, Carnes, Chestnut, Clark, Klaus, Collins, Colvin, Crawford, Daniels, Drummond, DeBose, Easterbrook, Ellis, England, Ensler, Estes, Faulkner, Fiddler, Fincher, Fort, Garrett, Gidley, Gavan, Gibbons, Gray, Hall, Hammett, Harbison, Harrison, Hassel, Hendricks, Hill, Hulk, Jones, Hollis, Holsey, Hurst, Ingram, Jackson, Jones, Keel, Kirkland, Lamb, Lawrence, Lee, Lipscomb, Lomax, Lovern, Marcus, McCampbell, McClammy, Mooney, Moore M, Moore P, Morris, Oliver, Paramore, Pascal, Pettis, Pringle, Rafferty, Ream, Reynolds, Rigsby, Robbins, Robertson, Rogers, Sellers, Sells, Shaver, Shaw, Shedd, Shiree, Simpson, Smith, Sorrells, Stodhagen, Standridge, Starn, Stringer, Stubbs, Tillman, Travis, Treadaway, Underwood, Wadsworth, Warren, Whit, Wharton, Wilcox, Wood D, Wood R, Woods, Yarborough.
Fifty-five members have answered roll. Quorum is present. House ready to transact business. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Lee, Chairman Lovern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I request that leaves of absence be granted for absent members.
Any objections? Hearing no objections, absent members are excused. The chair further recognizes the gentleman from Lee.
Mr. Speaker, I have a report.
House of Representatives, your Standing Committee on Rules begs leave to report that it has carefully examined the Journal of the House for the 8th legislative day and finds the same to be correct. Signed, Representative Joe Lovern, Chairman.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the reading of the journal at length for the 8th legislative day be dispensed with.
Any objections? Hearing no objections, read the journal dispensed with. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Mobile, Speaker Pro Tem, Mr. Pringle, for purpose of making announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Higher Education Day at the Capitol. Lunch will be held on the south lawn of the Capitol building at noon today. STEM Day at the Capitol will be held in room 200 of the Alabama State House from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Most importantly, listen. Hey, y'all need to hear this. Hey. Take everything off your desk when you leave today. The YMCA Youth Legislature will be here Friday and Saturday, so make sure you take everything off your desk when you leave, because this chamber will be used all weekend by others. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. You're further recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I move that when we adjourn today, we leave the journal open for the clerk to complete its paperwork and reconvene on Tuesday, February the 27th at 1 p.m. Tuesday at 1 p.m.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion prevails. Clerk now receive reports. Standing committees and receive those reports throughout the day. The House now in position to introduce bills and resolutions. The House now receive resolution report from Committee on Rules.
House Joint Resolution number 11 by Representative Chestnut, congratulating gunner Randall Henderson for winning the Silver Slugger Award and the 2023 Jackie Robinson American League Rookie of the Year. House Joint Resolution number 44 by Representative Sells, commending Jimmy L. Jones on being inducted into the Texas Longhorn Breeders Association of America Hall of Fame. Senate Joint Resolution by Senator Orr, commending Jackie Graham for professional achievement on the occasion of her retirement as Director of the Alabama State Personnel Department.
I move adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? They are adopted. Clerk, call the next resolution.
House Resolution number 43 by Representative Hammett, naming the bridge on Alabama State Highway Route 55 that spans Pigeon Creek in Covington County, Alabama, the David Cook Memorial Bridge.
I move adoption.
Next question is adoption. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted.
House Joint Resolution number 49 by Representative Reynolds, naming a portion of U.S. Route 72 in Huntsville, Alabama, the Agent Billy Clardy III Memorial Mile.
I move adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted.
House Joint Resolution number 50 by Representative Rigsby, proclaiming March 5th, 2024 as Space Day in Alabama.
I move adoption.
All those in favor of adoption say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted.
Senate Joint Resolution number 16 by Senator Williams, naming the bridge on Wilmer-Georgetown Road that spans Alabama State Highway Route 158 in Wilmer, Alabama, the Ruby Merle Stringfellow Memorial Bridge.
I move adoption.
All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Lee, Chairman Lovern.
Okay, gotcha. Mr. Speaker, I have a report.
Clerk, receive it.
House Resolution number 53 by the House Rules Committee, the special order calendar.
I move adoption.
All in favor say aye. Any opposed? It is adopted. Ms. Clerk, let's call the first bill on special order calendar.
On page 9 of the calendar, House Bill number 71 with substitute by Representative Klaus relating to the retirement systems of Alabama.
Chairman Glass, before you start, let me recognize a group. And I'd like to recognize Briarwood Christian Schools, Shelby County, and they are the guests of all the Shelby County representatives. Let's give them a big hand today. Thank y'all for being with us. Chairman Klaus, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, House Bill 71 is dealing with emergency technicians or paramedics, as more commonly known in your local communities. As many of you know, we're having a very difficult time with shortage of healthcare workers, particularly on the local level with rescue squads, with emergency technical personnel, paramedics. And what this bill does, and this is in cooperation with the retirement systems, is allowing them to be a part of what we call the stress bill or the hazardous duty pay, where police and firemen, along with state troopers, they can acquire additional year toward retirement after 5 years of service. So this also adds them to the hazardous duty pay. And so we have a substitute here where we put an amendment on in committee, which further define what the definition of a paramedic is. So if there are not any questions, Mr. Speaker, I ask for adoption of BR.
That is questions. Adoption of BR. Clerk will unlock the machine and members vote. Clerk lock machine, record the votes. 90 ayes, 5 abstentions. The BR has been adopted. Chairman Klaus.
Yes, sir. I'll ask for the adoption of substitute.
Ms. Klaus, you care to explain your sub?
The substitute members is dealing with just further definition of emergency medical services personnel based on some help from Mr. Rob Green, who thought we needed to add some definition to what the emergency medical technician is, and RSA agreed with that, so that's what the sub is.
You've heard the explanation of the committee sub. Clerk will unlock machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock machine, record the votes. 94 ayes, 6 abstentions. The committee sub has been adopted. Chairman Klaus.
Yes, sir. I ask for adoption of House Bill 71 as substituted.
That is questions. Final passage of HB 71. Clerk will unlock machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock machine, record the votes. 100 ayes, 1 abstention. HB 71 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, members of the House.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 10 of the calendar, House Bill number 171 with substitute by Representative Sells relating to taxation.
Chairman Sells, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, body. We passed this bill out last year, right in the last week of session, and the Senate didn't have a chance to get it through. What this affects is privately owned vintage aircraft for people that are 65 or older. And with that, Mr. Speaker, if there's no questions, ask for the BIR.
Sorry about that, Mr. Chairman. Some of this stuff you can't make up.
There you go.
Question for the body's adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock machine and members will vote. Clerk will lock machine, record the votes. 100 ayes, 1 abstention. The BR has passed. Mr. Chairman,
Okay, Mr. Speaker, I have a committee sub.
care to explain your sub?
Yes, sir. So what the sub does is just further explain that these aircraft had to be owned by individuals and not have anything to do with business. It's just personal aircraft. Yes, sir.
Okay, you heard the explanation of the committee sub. Clerk will unlock machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock machine, record the votes. 100 ayes, 0 nays. Committee sub has been adopted, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I'd ask for final passage as substituted.
That is questions, final passage of HB 171. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 100 ayes, 0 nays. HB 171 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 12 of the calendar, House Bill number 46 by Representative Moore P. relating to volunteer rescue squads.
Representative Moore, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Body, this bill would just allow the Department of Revenue to issue a permanent license plate for volunteer rescue squads. And if there are no questions, Mr. Speaker, I ask for the BIR.
That is the questions, adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 97 ayes, 1 abstention. BR has passed. Representative Moore.
Mr. Speaker, if there are no further questions, I ask for final passage.
That is questions, final passage of HB 46. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 94 ayes, 1 abstention. HB 46 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, body.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 6 of the calendar, House Bill number, on page 5 of the calendar, House Bill number 52 by Representative Rigsby relating to the Board of Pharmacy.
Representative Rigsby, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. Body, this is a technical revision for the Board of Pharmacy. Currently, the rule for technician to pharmacist ratio is 4 techs to 1 pharmacist as long as 2 of those techs are nationally certified. When they went back and looked at the statute, compounding pharmacies or pharmacies that compound, that statute said they could only have a ratio of 3 technicians to 1. So this is just a technical revision to bring that into a consistent manner so you can have that 1 pharmacist to 4 technicians. And if there's no questions, Mr. Speaker, I ask for the BIR.
That is questions. Adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 100 ayes, 1 abstention. HB 52. The BIR has been adopted.
And Mr. Speaker, if there be no further questions, I ask for final passage.
That is questions. Final passage of HB 52. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 100 ayes, 0 nays. HB 52 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, body.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 12 of the calendar, House Bill number 177 by Representative Sells relating to the Department of Commerce.
Chairman Sells, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What HB 177 does, it revises the process setting the salary of the Secretary of Commerce and the Deputy Secretaries. It just simply brings the Department of Commerce into the same pay schedule as other cabinet members. They have never been like that and carrying this for the Personnel Department. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to address them. This time, I ask for the BIR.
That's a question for the body's adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and members vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 100 ayes, 0 nays. BIR has been adopted. Chairman Sells.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At this time, I ask for final passage HB 177.
That's questions. Final passage, HB 177. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 99 ayes, 0 nays. HB 177 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Bud.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 8 of the calendar, House Bill number 54 by Representative Bedsole relating to death benefits.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, currently under Alabama law, we have extended a cancer death benefit for paid professional firefighters. HB 54 would extend a similar death benefit in the event that any of our volunteer firefighters across the state get diagnosed with cancer. There are certain provisions that they have to meet to qualify for this, but this is a great thing to extend those death benefits in the event that any of our volunteers who serve about 75% of our state end up getting diagnosed with cancer and ultimately die. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I would ask for the BIR.
Question for the body is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 100 ayes, 0 nays. BIR has been adopted.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, if there's no further questions, I would ask for final passage.
That is questions. Final passage of HB 54. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 99 ayes, 0 nays. HB 54 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 4 of the calendar, House Bill number 69 by Representative McCampbell relating to controlled substances prescription database.
Representative McCampbell, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. Members, this is a dental board bill. What it does is currently physicians can have up to 2 of their people designated to enter the database and order prescribed medication. This allows 2 employees designated by a licensed dentist approved by the department who has authorization to prescribe, dispense, or administer controlled substance may access the database on the dentist's behalf. With that, Mr. Speaker, I ask for the BIR.
That's question for the body's adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock machines and members will vote. Clerk will lock the machines. Under die, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Representative McCampbell.
Speaker, if there are no further questions, I ask for the final pass.
That is the question's final passage of HB 69. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 99 ayes, 0 nays. HB 69 has passed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members.
Thank the gentleman. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 3 of the calendar, House Bill number 93 by Representative Stubbs relating to county commissions.
Representative Stubbs, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. HB 93 is a bill limiting the liability for county commissions when individual elected officials have sole discretion over a discretionary account. So, for example, a probate judge or sheriff may have sole discretion over an account in those funds. This absolves the county commission from liability if those funds are expended in an incorrect manner. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I ask for the BIR.
That's questions. Adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock the machine and members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 99 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted. Representative Stubbs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, at this time I move to substitute Senate Bill 63 for House Bill 93. This bill has passed the Senate.
Okay, the question is to sub the bill. Chair recognizes the lady from Mobile, Representative Wilcox, on substitution of the bill. Okay, this is on substitution. Come back and talk about the bill. All those in favor of substituting the bill, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Bill's been substituted. Be the BR for.
On page 17 of the calendar, Senate Bill number 63 by Senator Carnley related to county commissions.
Mr. Speaker, at this time I move for adoption of the BIR on SB 63.
That's correct. All in favor of the BR, clerk will unlock the machine and members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes. 99 ayes, 0 nays. BR has been adopted.
Mr. Speaker, at this time I move for final passage.
That is the question's final passage. Chair recognizes the lady from Mobile, Representative Wilcox.
Thank you for the recognition, Mr. Speaker. I have a couple of questions. You caught my ear when you said that if they spend the money improperly. Could you elaborate on that, please?
Well, I think there's examples. We have several local bills that have been passed through this body which have provided sole discretion of funds that may come from copy fees or other things for individual elected officials. And those elected officials have bank accounts, they have sole responsibility for those funds. And in the event that those funds were expended improperly or someone identified an issue with that, this bill simply absolves the county commission from liability when the county commission had no responsibility or knowledge of the expenditures of those funds.
Okay, so it doesn't absolve the individual?
No, absolutely not. It does not involve.
I appreciate the answer.
Chair thanks the lady. Question for the body now is passage of SB 63. Clerk will unlock machines and members will vote. Clerk will lock machine, record votes. 99 0 nays. SB 63 has passed.
All right, Mr. Speaker, at this time I move to postpone indefinitely HB 93.
All those in favor of postponing? HB? Any opposed? It is postponed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, gentlemen. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 8 of the calendar, House Bill number 113 by Representative Warren relating to public schools.
Representative Warren, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 113 is identical to the bill we had last year, year before last, year before last, and year before last. But we never could get it out of the Senate. This bill simply is a first grade readiness bill to ensure that when a child enters the first grade, they are ready and they can be comfortable in the classes. One of the things, since I've been dealing with this bill, that has disturbed me, I had a teacher to call me, and she said that the most painful thing that she had to do as a first grade teacher was to repeat a child in the first grade. That was a sad situation. So I want to give you some figures this morning. In 2021, we had 3,569 kids to repeat the first grade. In 2022, we had 3,582 to repeat the first grade. In 2023, we had 3,487 students repeating first grade. This is a sad situation. All this bill is trying to do is to make sure we don't have to wait until a student gets to the third grade to know they can't read. A student should really be reading in the first grade. So, Mr. Speaker, if there are any questions, I'm ready for them at this time.
Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Regina Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative, will you yield?
Yes, ma'am.
And I believe this bill is a real good bill. But the fact of the matter is that we have K4, K5, and the purpose in us putting K4 and K5 into public schools is supposed to help our children. The problem with it is
I know what you're going to say, Collins.
That we passed even that to allow children to be in 4-year-old kindergarten, 5-year-old kindergarten. But as normal in the Alabama legislature, we don't think things out. So as a result, we have a lot of counties that cannot afford K4 and K5 because we passed a piece of legislation to allow it to happen, we didn't put all of the monies there so that even our poorest counties could have children in K4 and K5, which would solve a lot of our reading problems if we could get them at an early age like most developed countries do. Most developed countries try to get them in school at least by 3. And I do know that President Biden is a supporter of K3 because the earlier we get them into a controlled learning environment, the better they do. So hopefully, if this bill can get through both houses, it could be the motivation that we need to go ahead and give those counties the funding that they need for K4 and K5. And then this would be just perfect because we're making sure that they're ready by the time they get to first grade. But we passed so many bills in the past, and I think last year when we had the bill that say when they reach the third grade and they can't read, then we're gonna hold them back. But in our Education Trust Fund budget, we have done absolutely nothing to make sure that all 67 counties can afford K4 and K5. And I'm appreciative of what Governor Ivey did after we passed the budget last year. She included extra dollars for the counties that was worst off, that did not have any K4 and K5 classrooms. She put those dollars there so we could start to cover those counties who under normal condition cannot afford K4 because they don't have the matching monies. So this is a good bill. It's a start. And I'm hoping that it's got dollars and cents to go behind it so that we can start somewhere putting funds there to teach our children to read. And hopefully your bill that we're going to pass, and we pray in the Senate would pass too, will be a motivator for the Education Trust Fund Budget Committee. And I hope y'all listening, because y'all don't pay nobody any attention. But I do hope the Education Trust Fund Committee would consider putting more monies out for those counties that cannot afford K-4 and K-5 students automatically. And again, I say I thank the governor what she did step in to do last year, because a lot of people were unaware that every county did not have a kindergarten 4 and a kindergarten 5-year-old class. So thank you so very much for bringing this bill.
Thank you.
Chair, thanks, lady. Chair recognizes the lady from Morgan, Representative Collins.
Thank you for the recognition, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank you for your tenacity and your diligence and your working through and making sure that our children are prepared. A lot of times what we find is that even though we have valuable programs and we do want to continue to grow those programs in all our counties with pre-K and with kindergarten, we have students that are not attending those. And they show up for school as a 6-year-old and they've never had pre-K or kindergarten. And so it's not holding them back. It's simply saying the best place to start is in a great kindergarten class. So thank you for your...
And thank you for all your help. And
I'm glad to.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Chair, thanks, lady. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Clant. Chilton. Representative Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ms. Warren, will you yield?
Yes, sir.
First of all, thank you, and you're a very sweet lady, and you and I share a long career in education.
Yeah.
But I want to kind of clarify what's in the bill that I think changes this bill more than anything else. I'm all for readiness, and I'm all for them being prepared to move into the first grade. And I agree with your statistics that say we have children who repeat. And in my career, if children started too early, they were more likely to repeat. And so currently we have a September 1st being the deadline for that student to turn 5 to be in kindergarten or 6 to be in the first grade. If we accept what's written in the bill, I'm for the readiness portion of it, but I'm not for moving the date from September 1st to December 31st, because what that will do is a son or daughter who has a December birthday will be 4 years old going into kindergarten. And a 4-year-old is a tremendous amount different from a 5-year-old, and especially in males. Males are not usually as mature as you probably remember in education. Those males were a little bit further behind. Being one, I can say that. The other thing is too, this will also affect pre-K. And so if what we're doing is we're saying a 4-year-old can come to kindergarten and be in kindergarten from September or August start date through December as a 4-year-old. And what it does in pre-K is that's going to make that person be a 3-year-old. And a 3-year-old is not in a situation where they should be in a school setting at that point. Their parents should be doing a great job to help us. And until we sell the parent on valuing education, I don't know if the age is going to matter, because they do need to be age appropriate and they do need to be ready for first grade. Thank you.
Okay, may I make a comment on that?
Sure.
You know, I see what you're saying, but I was victimized with my daughter because she was born in December. All of her friends left her in kindergarten and went to first grade, and she never could understand why. And I said, it's because when you were born, I had the same situation with my grandson. When they got to first grade, they were really equivalent to being in the third grade. because they were so advanced. And my daughter always, she never could understand, Mama, why did you hold me back? I said, I didn't hold you back, the state held you back. And also, I want to put this in that part, the early admittance is left to the parents and the school board. It's not automatic. It has to, you have to apply through the school board, and the parents have to be wanting this for their kids. It's not, this isn't required, the 4-year-old. Right now, it's still 5, but for those who will be 5 by December. That's the only reason we did it, because again, I had a lady to call me. She said her son was born on September the 7th, I think she said. And she said he's going to have to sit out a whole year before he can go to school. So I have a lot of parents who call me about this bill because that's their issue. Why is my child having to sit out a whole year and his birthday is 2 or 3 days after the deadline? Again, it's up to the parent and the board, the local boards, to admit those students.
Well, as a former principal, K-12 principal, I dealt with that situation several times. And one of the things, let's say we adopt the bill exactly like you have it, then what are we going to say to the child who's born January 1st, which is 1 day late, does not meet that? At some point in time, you have to have a cutoff. Right now, the current cutoff is September 1st. Now, to be honest with you, some school system apparently allowed your daughter or granddaughter or someone to start before the time.
No, she couldn't. She had to stay out that year.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, she started the kindergarten though as a 4-year-old, right?
She was in a private school.
And
so,
she started as a 4-year-old, thus made her not eligible for first grade. There's a cutoff. It has to be set somewhere. And currently, September 1st is the cutoff. And I think we're getting more and more immature rather than getting them in that readiness state to meet the needs of first grade. But thank you.
And I think you heard me say yesterday, I had a superintendent who called me and she said she wanted the bill to work because she had parents who were putting their kids in private schools for 1 day, taking them out. She said the private schools work with them so they can get them there for 1 day, and then they transfer out of the private schools to the public schools at 4 years old. So, they are doing it every day, and some reason, I'm trying to make it legal, okay?
Well, to that point, I had parents who wanted to move from one school zone to another. I had parents who wanted to enroll their children from private school like that. And I made this statement to them, I'll work with you on that, but when your child does something like that to circumvent the rules, then understand you've set the example for them.
Yes, like I said, mine had to wait a whole year round, and that's why I'm trying to make sure kids don't have to wait.
Chair thanks the gentleman.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes the lady from Mobile, Representative Drummond. While Representative Drummond is making her way down here, I'd like to recognize Marshall County leadership, guest of Representative Colvin. Are they here in the gallery? Let's give them a big hand. Thank you for being with us today. I'd also like to recognize junior leadership at Lake Martin, the guest of Ed Oliver and District 81, and our own Chief Tuggle. Let's give them a big hand.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentlelady yield?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
I've watched you for years with this bill, and you know that I'm not a proponent of holding kids back, but we've got so many children that are not ready. And I have read this bill, and I've seen how you have worked on it. I want you to tell us a little bit about the passion why you've stayed with it, because we've got so many children. I heard somebody say yesterday to me that if we don't get this education thing right, Alabama is not going to ever move forward. We're not all going to agree. We just disagree on the path to get there. Now, I, for one, think this bill needs to pass because I think that we need to start from the bottom and work our way up, because if we can get the foundation to be sound in education, it is going to lead to success when they get older. So tell me a little bit about that passion.
Well, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I spent my whole career in higher education. But once I became a grandparent, I realized that there were problems. I started going to daycares, I started going to schools, and when we were registering my grandson for the first grade, he read everything on the wall. He was reading, and the lady behind us said, "You're in the wrong line." And we said, "Why are we in the wrong line?" She said, "He read everything on the wall." She said, "I thought you don't learn to read until you get to the first grade." And we told him, well, he's been in pre-K, he's been in K, he's been reading now for about 3 years, really going into first grade. And as I went on, I discovered in going to the school that this lady's daughter had 3 letters in it. And 3 of those letters were A's, and she could not recognize an A in the first grade. I knew then we had a problem. So because of that, it became a mission, a charge that I had, that I didn't want to see another child getting in the first grade and couldn't recognize an A. So that it's been a passionate thing to me because, you know, in many instances, these kids are labeled dumb. In some instances, they send them to special ed. I had one of the kids I was working with whose mom was incarcerated. They were putting him in special ed. And I say, have you given him a chance? So I got and started working with him and just dealing with him one-on-one. He was able to do the AB honor roll. So it's just, again, when you see kids that are put in situations with a disadvantage when they start, we're not doing them a justice. We're not doing a justice to the teacher. We're not doing the student justice. And we're not doing the other students in that class justice that got to slow up so they can catch up with them in the process.
Let me tell you of my experience. I was on the governor's task force for teaching and learning, which actually I learned a lot during those 6 months endeavor. Every school system, elementary, that came to us that was doing well, that was not receiving a bad score, a bad grade, their foundation was in kindergarten. They started talking about the world-class pre-K program and how they moved on up. But those that did not get that foundation, do you know that those are the ones that we were seeing the scores were down?
Yes.
I stand here because George Hall is in my district. We know what to do. And I've gone over there because they've gone, we need the right teachers, the right staff, and then you need the right foundation. And that foundation, I'm a proponent of early education. Yeah. I think it works. So I applaud you for this bill. I know how hard you've worked on it. And I hope the members will join me in voting for it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sure, thanks, lady. Question for the body now is adoption of the BIR. Clerk will unlock machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock machine. Record the votes. 96 ayes, 4 nays. The BIR has been adopted.
I'll now ask for final approval.
That's questions, final passage. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Jefferson, Representative Rogers. You good? Question for the body now is passage of HB 113. Clerk will unlock the machine and members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine. Record the votes. 90 ayes, 9 nays. HB 113 has passed.
Thank you, thank you. And I promise y'all, we're not coming back with this one next year because the Senate is going to do what's going to be done. I have a companion bill, and it passed out of committee yesterday in the Senate, and they're moving it on in the Senate. So I do thank you.
Congratulations. Would like to recognize some guests in the gallery. Bullock County Schools, Union Springs, Alabama. The guest of Representative Barry Fort. Stand up for us. Let's give him a big hand. It's good to have you with us today. Thank you. Clerk, call next bill.
On page 4 of the calendar, House Bill number 121 by Representative Carnes with substitute relating to county and municipal employees.
Chairman Carnes, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a whistleblower bill. My county commission brought this to me. Of course, I represent Jefferson County, which is the largest county in the state. One of the problems they have been having is that when people find things that are not going correctly, they have been going through the proper channels, taking it to the personnel board under oath and giving the personnel board the problems that they have seen that need correcting. In numerous cases recently, the people who have been the whistleblowers have been getting repercussions from their supervisor. So this bill is strictly to protect the whistleblower and the counties and cities around the state. It's strictly for that. Now, the state of Alabama already has this, and this is just, we're bringing the municipalities and the counties into this. There is an amendment that the County Commission Association came with, and I think it's a good amendment. The amendment says that you are protected from the Whistleblowing Act. However, if you say steal money from petty fund or something else or do some other misdeed, you can be punished for that. I think that was a very good amendment. That was an unintentional catch on their part for us. So that will be the amendment when it's time to offer that. So I would ask for the BIR, Mr. Speaker.
Chair recognizes Representative Mooney from Shelby.
Do what?
Thank you, Representative Carnes. I appreciate the work you and the folks with the county commissions have been doing. We need this opportunity for protection and do appreciate so much you bringing the bill.
Sorry. Oh, thank you.
Question for the body is now adoption of the BIR. The clerk will unlock the machines and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine with the cord to vote. 98 ayes, 0 nays. The BIR is adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do have the substitute that I just explained, and that is allowing the supervisors, should the employee that did the whistleblowing, if they need some kind of repercussion from misdeeds, that they would still have the ability to do that. This strictly covers the whistleblowing of under oath of a bad deed that someone is reporting to their personnel board. Move for passage, move for adoption, Mr. Speaker.
Question for the body's adoption of the substitute. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 99 yeas, 0 nays. The substitute is adopted. Question now before the body's final passage of HB 1. Oh, I'm sorry. Chair recognizes Representative McCampbell from Moringa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. Will the gentleman yield?
Sure.
Okay, as I was listening to your explanation there on the amendment, I had one question. And that question is, if indeed the person lies on the stand under oath, I understand we have, laws that for perjury.
Sure.
We already have those perjury laws in place. This is not going to absorb them from the perjury part of it, is it?
Absolutely not. They're doing it under oath, and if they turn out that they are not telling the truth, they would be responsible for their statement under oath that was false.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay. Good question.
Question now before the body is the final passage of HB 121 is substituted. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 99 yeas, no nays. House Bill 121 passes.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Clerk, call the next bill in the special order calendar.
On page 6 of the calendar, House Bill number 77 by Representative Rigsby relating to newborn screening panel.
Thank you for the recognition, Mr. Speaker. And members, House Bill 77 is a bill that was agreed upon by the Department of Public Health and the Alabama Rare Group, which services the rare disease community here in Alabama. In Alabama, the recommended uniform screening panel that is presented by the Department of Health and Human Services on a federal level recommends that we test for 37 rare diseases on all of our newborns here in Alabama, unless a parent objects to that. Currently in Alabama, we only screen for 33 of the 37 disease states. Those 4 disease states that are not screened for are MPS 1, Pompe, MPS 2, and GAMT. This bill has a namesake of a young man that I met last year at a breakfast, and he has MPS 1 along with his 2 siblings. They are one of the only families in the nation who all 3 kids of a family have this disorder. And so if we pass this, the Alabama Department of Public Health, in agreements to this piece of legislation, hopefully by August, will add MPS 1. And you may ask, well, why is this important? With these rare diseases, early treatment is the key for these families. A lot of times they get no answers if they're not screened for these rare diseases. They go through a diagnostic journey trying to figure out what's going on with my newborn. And so this will help screen our newborns here in Alabama so that we can help these families who are getting sometimes scary news on what we can do early to increase their quality of life. So this bill, named after Zachary Thomas, and Zachary and his mom have joined us in the gallery today, but this bill will help to encourage, through the Alabama Department of Public Health, to add those 4 tests and then give mechanisms in place as more tests are added to that panel, that the Alabama Department of Public Health will take on those tests and add those tests in a timely manner, with the exception of if there's any funding or any workforce issues that would prevent that to happen, in which they have to publicly let us know that they're not able to add those tests. So, Mr. Speaker, with that, I ask for the BIR.
Question for the body's adoption of the BIR. The clerk will unlock the machines. The members will vote. Have all the members voted? The clerk will lock the machine and record the vote. 100 yeas, 0 nays. The BIR is adopted.
Mr. Speaker, if there's no further questions, I ask for final passage of HB 77.
Question for the body's passage of HB 77. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 97 yeas, no nays. HB 77 is passed. The chair would like to recognize in the gallery Zach Thomas. Would you please stand for recognition? And his mother, Brooke. Yeah. Well, welcome to the Alabama House of Representatives.
Thank you, Mr.
Call the
Speaker.
next bill in the special order calendar.
On page 11 of the calendar, House Bill number 131 with substitute by Representative Butler relating to sales and use taxes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. HB 131 simply will clear up a lot of confusion on durable medical equipment with taxes. Right now, there's a lot of confusion, and taxes have been unexpectedly refunded years later, and this will provide a process to exempt it up front. With that, Mr. Speaker, I move for the BIR.
Question before the body's adoption of the BIR. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Have all the members voted? Clerk will lock the machine and record the vote. 99 yeas, 0 nays. The BIR is adopted.
Mr. Speaker, we have a committee sub that I move that we adopt.
If you would like to explain the sub?
Yes, the committee sub just simply cleans up the language a little bit, and instead of getting the certificate of exemption afterwards, you will get it up front and maintain it. And with that, I move we adopt the sub.
Question for the body's adoption of the substitute. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 100 yeas, 0 nays. The substitute is adopted.
Mr. Speaker, I move we adopt.
The question before the body is
Bill as substituted.
adoption of HB 131 is substituted. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 101 yeas, no nays. HB 131 is substituted, passes.
Thank you, Mr.
Clerk, we call the next bill on the special order calendar.
On page 7 of the calendar, House Bill number 55 with substitute by Representative Bolton relating to motor vehicles.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members, HB 55 is identified as a squat truck bill, and what it's going to do is going to place restrictions on how high the front end of a vehicle can be jacked up or modified, as sometimes it interferes with the vision of the driver and seeing small objects in front of him, and also it does other things to the vehicles when it's cornering and when it's going to stop. And what we've done is we have actually amended this in committee, and I'm going to cover that amendment very quickly. This will be the substitute. We replaced some grammatic errors on line 40 on page 2 that just says the act may be known or shall be known and may be cited as. On line 42 on page 2, section 2A1, except as otherwise provided in the subdivision, it shall be unlawful. And in discussions with the squat truck community, I also made an additional amendment outside of this, which goes through lines 59 and 63 and removes the point assignment off a driver's license. It'll simply be treated as an equipment violation, and then there will be no points assigned to the driver's license. And actually, in the original amendment, we have a statement on lines 16 through 18 that the original manufacturer design of the vehicle is exempted. Now, we've got an amendment coming to deal with that. And any vehicle modification of alteration that has been made for bona fide commercial or agricultural purposes is accepted also. And thank you with that information. I would like to move for the BIR.
Chair recognizes the gentleman, Representative Rogers from Jefferson, on the BIR.
I said, hey, what about those truck I see where the guys are going mudding? They had those big wheels. Does it affect the guys? I mean, I saw a truck the other day so damn high. I thought it was. I thought I had to get a step right to get in it.
Yes, sir. I understand the other trucks, like the ones with the big motors and the 23s and the 32-inch tires, are governed by the headlight height, which is 54 inches of the center of the headlight. This bill applies to those that are out of level with the front end raised up, and primarily because if you get them so high, and some of them are as high as 24 inches, it limits the driver's ability to see over the hood of the vehicle, and it also pitches the headlights up to where they blind people on the road at night and also go over the vehicles at times.
Oh, I see what you're trying to do, but now what about I'm a question action now. Hear me real clear. What about the guys who are recreational mudders? You got those guys, those mudders, they had a big wheel on a mudder truck. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
I don't understand why they do it, but they like to hit real high. So does it? I mean, it doesn't bother them because I see them all the time. You know, I'm not a mudder, but you know the mud truck.
Yes, sir, this is going to apply to everybody, whether it's a street truck or a mud truck. The only thing is, the only regulation that's going to be effective is on the state highway or county road or city street. Now, if they get off the road or anything like that, there's no provision in Title 30.
Okay, so it doesn't affect off the road truck.
Doesn't affect them when they're off the road.
Guys, they tow the truck, they tow the car to the site. Then they started to have your mud on it, right?
No, actually, no. Most of these show trucks like this have either airbags or hydraulics on them, and what they do when it's on the road, it needs to be down within 4 inches of level. And when they get off the road, they can do what they want to. But now, if you've got a mudder truck that doesn't fit these qualifications, it will be in violation also if it's on the road.
So they can slow down. You know, kind of. You were talking now. Tell me about those guys with the mudder truck. Tell me about those, because that's what I'm concerned about.
Okay, the guys with the mudder trucks, generally, I don't recall seeing any that were raised up in the front end.
Yeah,
I see them that are raised in the front and the back. They're pretty much level, but even at that, if they don't comply with this particular bill, they would still be illegal. They would have to be adjusted.
So, in other words, if you raise the front and the back, you're all right. You concerned with the raising in front, not raising is out of whack.
Well, what you want to do is the back and the front must be within 4 inches of level. Either if it's down 2 inches in the back and up 2 inches in the front, it's okay. But if it goes over that out of level and it goes up above 4 inches in differential, that's where your problem's going to be.
It's not concerned. You're not restricting the height of the vehicle, are you?
No, sir. There's already a law in place that restricts the height of the headlights, and that is 54 inches from the center of the light, and that restricts the height of the vehicle.
Okay, the question is, all right, if I just want to tow the truck to a mud hole and just use it for mud, now on the highway, I'm all right?
Yeah, as long as you don't drive it on the highway and it's out of compliance. You can take them to car shows or any place else and run the front end up then, or however you.
Okay, as long as I'm not driving on the highway, I can still raise it. Because I know a couple of guys got these big trucks.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you got to get a step ladder to get in the truck.
Yes, sir. That's right.
They so high.
I understand.
But they level, so don't you concerned with the slant?
The angle of the slant, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure. I know a couple of guys who do mud.
I understand.
And I don't understand why it's fun, but they will kill you to go mudding. You know,
if you're not careful, they will.
But they love their mudding. But I mean, to me, it's kind of ridiculous to drive a truck through all that mud. But I just want to make sure they're safe.
Yes,
okay?
sir. Thank you, Representative.
All right, thank you.
Question for the body's adoption of the BR. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Have all the members voted? Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 95 yeas, 5 nays. The BR is adopted. Question for the body now is adoption of the substitute. The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Have all the members voted? Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 95 yeas, 5 nays, and the substitute is adopted. I believe we have an amendment.
Yes, we have a friendly amendment coming.
Friendly amendment from Representative Bedsole from Shelby.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem. The amendment is really simple in the fact that you had 2 exceptions that this would accept out of this statute. The amendment will simply, and I guess I need to present this to you guys.
Amendment to House Bill number 55 by Representative Bedsole.
All right, sorry about that. This amendment would simply strike one of the 2 exceptions, and that one exception it would strike is exempting any squatted trucks that are from the original manufacturer design of the vehicle. Currently, there are none out there in which that their original manufacturer design that come in this package. The simple reason for the amendment is the safety aspect that we're trying to hit here, but also 2, it would make it virtually impossible for law enforcement to enforce this provision because there's not a good way to know if this came from the manufacturer or was done somebody aftermarket.
Correct, and thank you. I appreciate you bringing this amendment and pointing that out to me. And I'm in favor of this amendment and accept it as a friendly amendment.
Before we vote on the amendment, the chair recognizes Representative Sellers from Jefferson. The question for the body is adoption of the amendment to HB 55. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine and record the vote. 99 yeas, 0 nays, and the amendment is adopted.
Thank you.
Chair now recognizes Representative Sellers from Jefferson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. Will the gentleman yield?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Thank you, Representative Bolton, for bringing this particular bill. I do understand the precautions of it.
Yes, sir.
But I don't know why my colleague, John Rogers, hate mudders, but all the mudders say go mudding.
Absolutely, buddy.
Question before the body's final passage of HB 55 is substituted an amendment. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 91 yeas, 5 nays.
Thank you, member.
HB 55 passes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Clerk will call the next bill in the special order calendar.
On page 15 of the calendar, House Bill number 168 by Representative Woods, relating to crimes and offenses.
Representative Woods.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. HB 168, the purpose for this bill is to amend our state laws to treat AI-generated child pornography or child sexual abuse material the same way we treat actual child pornography. In other words, if you produce, possess, or distribute or pander child pornography, the state will no longer need to establish whether actual children are involved. This bill also raises the age covered in the state from age 16 to age 17 and enables parties who wish to bring civil action or punitive damages to do so. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I move for the BIR.
Chair recognizes Representative McCampbell from Marengo.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. Will the gentleman
Yes, sir.
You know, I'm glad you're bringing this bill because you and I had a conversation about it simply because one of the events that inspired this bill happened over in my area. And I see we have young people up in the gallery today. Sure. So I want us to kind of talk about exactly what occurred so that these young people can see the problems that they will be generating for themselves if indeed they were to do some things of this nature. In my area, a couple of young boys decided that they were going to take the head of one of their classmates and place it on an adult nude body that they found online. So I'm trying to help these young people understand right now, that's not funny. That's nothing to play with, because right now we are getting ready to pass a bill that will say to these young people, you are going to now mess up your life. See, the problem, we are messing up the young girls' lives simply because now they've got to, whenever it comes up on the internet and they are getting ready to go out and get a job, these people are searching the internet and will find this. We've had to give them a letter from law enforcement telling them the circumstances of this picture being out there. People say, well, we'll take it down. You can't take it all down from the internet. It will be out there somewhere and people can search it and we'll find it. So I'm so glad you're bringing this, and I'm glad we have young people here today so they can understand the devastating effects of what they think is a prank.
Representative Cam, I just want to say thank you for the way you embraced the situation in your community. We've had a very good collaborative approach to this. Appreciate the research you brought forward and the development of this bill. And it certainly is a problem. And I think we need to also say this can happen very easily. Just taking a picture and sending a text can make it happen. So thank you.
It can happen very easily because not only has it happened in my area, but you're embracing it because it happened in some other areas. And you knew I had a pretty heavy lift already this session, and you were kind enough to accept this and work with it, and I appreciate the work you've done on it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Question for the body's adoption of the BR. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Have all the members voted? Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 97 yeas, no nays, 98 yeas, no nays. The BR is adopted. Question now before the body is adoption of the substitute by the Judiciary Committee. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine and record the vote. 98 yeas, no nays, and the substitute is adopted.
Mr. Speaker, I move for final passage.
Question for the body is final passage of HB 168 is substituted. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 101 yeas, no nays. HB 168 is final approval is substituted. Clerk will call the next bill on the special order.
Mr. Speaker, if we may, can we open up for co-sponsors on this bill?
Question is open the machine up for co-sponsors. Clerk will open the machine. You want to co-sponsor?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Clerk will lock the machine, record the co-sponsors. Now, the clerk will call the next bill on the special order calendar.
On page 15 of the calendar, House Bill number 161 with substitute by Representative Moore P. relating to crimes and offenses.
Representative Moore.
Mr. Speaker, ladies and gentlemen, this bill would be the assesses the adult version of the bill that Representative Woods just passed, and I want to thank him and the others for all the hard work and effort they've put into these bills. But this one would provide that it is unlawful for any person knowingly create, record, or alter a private image when the depicted individual has not consented to the creation, recording, or alteration, and depicted individual has a reasonable expectation of privacy against the creation, recording, or alteration of the private image. So, Mr. Speaker, if there are no questions, I ask for the BIR.
Question for the body's adoption of the BIR. The clerk will unlock the machine. The members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 100 yeas, 0 nay. The BIR is adopted.
Mr. Speaker, if there are no further questions, I ask for final passage.
Please explain the substitute.
Pass the sub. Mr. Speaker, I ask to pass the sub.
Chair recognizes Representative Gavan from Jefferson. I need to deal with her.
Listen, tell me what your bill does again. I know we passed a few years ago the right of publicity bill. Myself and Senator Smitherman were sponsors of that legislation.
So I had a lady in my district that had reached out to me with a concern. So at her place of employment, without her knowledge, there was a gentleman or a man that had been taking pictures and videos of her for over 2 years without her knowledge. And he created her likeness onto an artificial body for pornographic material, and that guy's wife found that material on his computer at home. And so this will help clean up some of that language, because she was not made aware of it until that guy's wife exposed her.
So your bill does what?
It creates the AI into the criminal penalty for this, which has not been included because AI is a newly formed entity that is just now kind of getting off the ground, and we're trying to keep up, with what's going on.
So help me, explain AI to me. Let's talk about artificial intelligence. So talk to me about it, because this is like the second year, I think, where we've begun to delve into artificial intelligence. So tell me
how
artificial intelligence kicked in with this piece of legislation.
Okay, so for instance, and I don't know how to do this, but I could take your picture and I could record your voice, and I could create an artificial image that looks just like you with your voice, and create a video that will have you saying all these outlandish things, and it looks like you, but it's not. And so we're trying to put safety parameters in place for those things when it is relation to pornographic materials.
So someone filmed someone alleged. Were they convicted of it? Were they convicted of filming?
I can't.
Were they convicted? There was no conviction.
There's no conviction because there's nothing currently on the law. So what this lady had to do is still go back to work with this gentleman because there's nothing in place.
Was she doing it while, I guess my question is, was she being filmed at home? Because that's voyeurism.
No, she was filmed at work.
Okay, at work, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't have a problem with the bill. I just have problems with when one person in our neighborhood calls us for something, and I wish that we would delve deeper into all of the circumstances that surround, because we come in off bills that are created off of a lot of emotion. Well, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but they're ultimately bills that will impact other people in some kind of way with unintended consequences. And listen, I don't care what bill I have, and I have folks calling me all in the midnight hour, in the morning, coming to my office. I mean, it's amazing. And I say to them, not everything should be put into law. I have had personal circumstances, and I guess that's been my only biggest gripe with being in this house, because we just create bills off of any little situation. We created a bill last year because someone was an educator, and I represent educators all across the state. I love educators. But because they had adopted a child and they wanted to make sure that they had medical leave because they were an adopted parent, and this, that, and other, and there was other circumstances involved. One of our friends is killed by a drunk driver, or DUI, or something. Or we lose a child texting. And I appreciate all those parents. It's just that, and I'm just using those as examples, but it's something that becomes universal, that we totally change the dynamics of everybody's life because of this. And we pass out a whole lot of bills, and I'm thankful that a lot of bills don't make it out when they leave this chamber. We used to be a really strong chamber. When I came into the House of Representatives, the House ran this house. I mean, it was the power entity in this building. And I'm hoping we're gonna get back to being that powerhouse or the power chamber, But I think when we continue to bring certain types of bills, and I'm not knocking your bill, I'm just saying we bring these bills, and of course, you know, up there in God's country, the Senate, so they believe, you know, and they sit on all of our bills, and other bills are lost in that trap because they're looking at our bills like, what the? I'm just saying, again, I don't have a problem with it. I just wanted to understand it. But I mean, we just, and I think that might be why our strength in this house over the past 10 years has been diluted. I'm just being honest with you.
I will say that
call
I
me,
think-
tweet me, email me, I don't care. I'm a big girl, I got tough skin. I don't get offended, and it doesn't bother me if you criticize me.
Well, and I will say that, you know, I think when a constituent comes to us with an idea and we start working on it, we as legislators bring attention to those issues, so more people around the state
Yeah, I get
start
that. We
reaching out
bring
with that.
attention to a lot of
And I have
issues.
heard a lot more on this issue as
But
well.
there's a way to bring attention to an issue, not necessarily passing a bill. You can become an advocate. I'm known in my area, I advocate for a whole lot of things. I advocate for a lot of things that I don't bring bills for. And when I'm walking in those courthouses and I'm walking in those pharmacies and I'm walking all over the places in my district or anywhere around, folks are like, thank you. Thank you for fighting for us. Thank you for fighting for me. Thank you for taking a stand when others would not take a stand on an issue. Thank you for standing up to the opposite party. Thank you for being who you are. Thank you for being unapologetic. And I get that so much, but I don't always get it. I'm not looking for it. I'm doing it. I think I get it because I am more vocal about a lot of issues that most people shy away. But I'm just saying, and not knocking your bill again. Nobody has to tweet me, email, text me. I mean, I have bills that folks have come to me and said the same thing. And it has made me put a stronger eye on bills, but I just don't believe in, and I've been preaching this, bringing bills off emotions that we pass out of this house, and it has an impact on other people. Someone else could be in graphic design that just may happen to take a picture or create an image that may mimic the face or facial expressions of someone else. And there's an unintended consequence because this person could see it and say, oh, that looks like me. I think that's my name and likeness or my image. We didn't have a name and likeness in the state, write a publicity bill to myself, and Senator Smitherman brought the legislation some years ago. I was surprised to know that the 4 little girls at the 16th Street Baptist Church, one of the survivors of that, people have been gaining, making financial gains off of her name and likeness all of those years. And so Legislative Services here worked on some legislation with, I think, Boss Bingham and some of their top lawyers to get that passed. But so I get it. I understand. I'm not knocking it. I'm just always concerned whenever someone stands up and say, short of murder or killing or, you know, anything with a child, I got that. So I'm just concerned that a lot of bills we pass are off of motion, and a lot of those bills get stalled in the Senate. And I just think it further dilutes us in the House because of the type of bills that we're sending upstairs. So good luck on your bill.
Thank you. Question for the body's adoption of the substitute by to House Bill 161. The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the vote. 100 yeas, no nays. The substitute is adopted. Question for the body now is final passage of HB 161 is substituted. The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine and record the vote. 97 yeas, no nays. HB 161 passes as substituted.
Mr. Speaker, I have been asked to open it up for co-sponsors.
The request to open the machine for co-sponsors. The clerk will open the machine. The members who wish to co-sponsor will. Of all the members, clerk will lock the machine Oh, clerk will lock the, clerk will lock the machine. It's postponed. Let me do. Congratulations, Mr. Parker. The chair would like to recognize the Southwest Mobile Chamber's tall students who are with us today in the gallery. Please stand for recognition. Very guests of the Mobile County Legislative Delegation, welcome. Welcome to the Alabama House of Representatives.
Mr. Clerk, let's call up the first bill on the regular order calendar.
On page 2 of the calendar, House Bill number 10 by Representative Pringle relating to crimes and offenses.
Pro Tem Pringle, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the bill that I carried over the other day. We have worked out a compromise on an amendment that deals with the word knowingly. With that, I'd like to offer the amendment.
Clerk, see the amendment.
Amendment to House Bill number 10 by Representative.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's the one that they agreed to, supposedly. I don't care. Okay. Chris agreed to it. Okay. Oh. Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry. Mr. Speaker, I move adoption of the BIR.
That is question adoption of the BIR. Chair recognizes the lady from Cherokee, Chairwoman Shavers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the recognition. Pro Tem Pringle, I just wanted to tell you and the body about a situation that we had in my home county of Cherokee County, where a drug dealer had sold drugs on his porch, and the buyer took those drugs right then and dropped dead. And we did not have this law. And they know how dangerous these drugs are, and those drugs had fentanyl in it, a detectable amount of fentanyl. And so, my husband, the sheriff, worked with, he called the DEA and had him charged under the federal statute of distributing that resulted in a death. So he was charged federally. That was in 2020, and he was convicted, and here we are. He is not incarcerated at this time and back on the streets. And the young man who bought those drugs with the fentanyl in them is dead. And so I just wanted to tell you that this is a real issue, and people know, and they do it anyway. It's just like playing Russian roulette, and they know that they're with those drugs, handing a loaded weapon in somebody's hand that might kill themselves. So I just wanted to share that with the body, and thank you for bringing the bill.
Thank you, Representative. I think we all have a story of tragedy when it comes to fentanyl.
Chair thanks the lady. Chair recognizes the lady from Jefferson, Representative Van.
Okay. Is this the bill from last year?
It's a bill, but we put the amendment on knowingly. This amendment's going to address.
But it's other than the word knowingly?
It's the same bill with this amendment and the amendment from Senator Smitherman about its derivatives.
So this is the bill. Is it still manslaughter, reckless? Is there a recklessness in there?
It's
or wantonly or recklessness? And your bill calls for a class what felony? Class B? Or C?
Class B, felony.
Okay, so I'm assuming this is manslaughter. Is this a manslaughter?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, all right, so anyone who, you're striking knowingly?
No, we're adding knowingly.
You're adding knowingly, and this amendment came from who? You said, because you said you reached a compromise.
It was drafted by LSA, the district attorneys, and Representative England, I believe Representative Chestnut.
England and who?
Chestnut.
Oh, okay, okay, so that's the
This is the agreed upon amendment to the bill.
Okay, so because you agreed upon it with Chestnut and England, that makes it an agreed upon amendment with everybody or a group or groupings? I'm just, because when you said that, I'm just trying to figure out who that is. That's all I'm trying to get to, what the compromise was, because it makes it appear as if it comes from England or Chestnut that it becomes law, and that I'm assuming they are representing. I don't know if they're representing the Democrats or what. So that's why I was just trying to get clarity on when you said you had reached a compromise and this is what we had agreed on, and I didn't know if that was everybody that you all had agreed upon. And I just never want a bill passed where two people, because they agree, they become the authority to make something okay, or that there's an appearance that it's okay for everybody. That may be a Democrat or that may be black, because that's not the case. And so I would just ask that you, as you move about, would speak to other folks as well about their concerns about legislation, because they don't speak for me. And I'm not a part of that two-person committee that you've come and told the body that it makes the bill okay and that there's a consensus to support it, because that would be misleading my constituency base, because I've not spoken with you. And I may not be okay with the bill, and of course I can exercise that because I can exercise it through my vote. But I'm just concerned that you started off that you said that this wording has come about because of two other people in the room. And I do know there are other learned individuals in this room outside of those two individuals that have a concern and have had a concern about this piece of legislation over the past year or 2 years. I too have experienced individuals who have died because of fentanyl and fentanyl poisoning. I met a lady just a few weeks ago who someone had given her something and she had touched fentanyl, and I lost a very close friend, and it was a young man who was very, very politically aligned that died of a fentanyl overdose about 3 months ago and came from a very prominent family here in Alabama. But I would like to make sure that it's just, for me, on the record, just because two people agreed on some language, that it doesn't make the bill right, and especially not for me. And so to me, that's insulting. When you say you reached a compromise, and that's not a compromise with everybody, that's a compromise with two people. So when those two people become an authority around here, that's real scary, that nobody else has a voice because those two people became the authority.
Question for the body is adoption of the BR. Clerk will unlock machines and members will vote. Clerk will lock machines, record the votes. 88 ayes, 8 nays. The BR has been adopted. Pro Tem Pringle.
Yes. Move adoption of the amendment.
Amendment to House Bill number 10 by Representative Pringle.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Tuscaloosa, Representative England.
Well, you can, yeah, well, no, can you change that to amendment?
Thank you for the recognition. First and foremost, I want to thank you for working with us. Representative Chestnut and I, is my esteemed colleague, one of the smartest attorneys that I know, but we didn't come up with this ourselves by candlelight with a pen dipped in ink. What we did was we actually worked with the district attorneys, actually LSA, and we all kind of worked together to come up with an amendment that would try to help narrow the focus of who we're going after, which, as you said, are drug dealers. And this amendment makes it possible for us to go after those folks that are, just quite honestly, killing other people. So this amendment, it adds to the beginning knowingly, which is something that we talked about last year. But one thing that you mentioned that was very important is that we don't want to provide somebody who's using fentanyl, which is a almost lethally fatal drug, and use that as a defense to get out of being prosecuted. So the amendment accomplishes both of those objectives. It narrows the focus, but it goes directly after those folks. It does not provide them a cover or an excuse to dodge prosecution.
Thank you, Mr. England. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a classic example of working together and coming up with some language that we can all agree to that accomplishes our goal. And I want to thank you for your hard work and Representative Chestnut. And this is going to be a good bill, and I think it will save lives, but I think it will be fair and it's going to accomplish what we want to accomplish. Thank you.
And with that, Mr. Speaker, I move to adopt the amendment.
That is the question to adopt the amendment. Clerk will unlock the machine and the members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes, 99 ayes, 1 abstention. The amendment has been adopted. Representative England.
Thank you for the recognition, and I guess
I move final passage of HB 10 as amended.
That is questions for the body as final passage for HB 10 as amended. Clerk will unlock the machine and members will vote. Clerk will lock the machine, record the votes, 98 ayes, 0 nays. HB 10 has passed.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. There's been a request to open the machine for co-sponsors.
Mr. Clerk, let's open up the machine for co-sponsors. Clerk will lock the machine, 68 co-sponsors on HB 10. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for a good day. We had a good day of legislation today. Appreciate everybody working together. I think Pro Tem Pringle and Representative England showed a classy act of how to work together and accomplish good bills. Thank you for that. Let's give them a big hand for working together. Mr. Pro Tem, you are recognized.
Ladies and gentlemen, remember the STEM students are downstairs in room 200. And do not forget, clean your desk off before you leave. This chamber will be used all weekend. With that, Mr. Speaker, I move the House stand in adjournment.
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned.